How often should you tighten your sister locks? Well, I've heard a lot of different things on this topic. Ultimately, my advice to you is going to be similar to what I say in a lot of videos about a lot of different topics, and that is it depends on your hair. Okay? Everybody's hair grows at a different rate. Some of our root beds are stronger and can take more. Some of us don't like the plucked chicken look. It's been a week since my retightening. Has it been a week? Yeah, it's only been a week since my retightening. I do not like this look at all. So I like when they get all filled in. And some people feel like that's a crazy look and they don't like it. I can go with it looking crazy for a long time. And I gotta tell you, normally it'd be plucked chicken up here, but I got a hairline situation where my hairline is moving further towards my head and more is getting thicker up in here. So I got this thing looking up here, which is fine because I don't like the plucked chicken look. Then I got some gray stuff trying to happen too. But anyway, it depends on your hair. It also depends on your loctician, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to get to that in a minute. Let me first say I have heard a wide range of different things. I've heard 4 weeks. I've heard 4 to 6 weeks. I've heard 7 weeks. I've heard 6 to 8 weeks. I've heard 8 to 10 weeks. Okay? Seldom do I hear, though, 10, 11, 12 weeks. That's what I do. That's been working great for me. Now, my locks are not thinning. I'm not experiencing any break. You see that little difference in size there? That's something that would cause me in the past to take a lock out and fool around with it. But yeah, so here's what I'm going to say. I've heard 4 to 6 weeks. I've heard 4 weeks. And this may be controversial, and I would love to hear you respond. Tell me how long you've been doing it and how long you wait and how long you've been doing it for that length of time. The reason why I ask is this. I can see 4 weeks in the beginning as they're beginning to settle, especially after the first install, where you're only going to have one install, during a particular journey set. So after your install, 4 weeks you go in, you get it checked out, you see what's going on, or 6 weeks. But to me, getting them retightened every 4 weeks, even every 4 to 6 weeks, unless your hair grows really fast. Now, my hair grows fast. I can remember what my perm touch-ups were like. I would do those roughly every 6 weeks, and my hair was fine. 6 weeks I can see. 4 weeks I think is too frequent. 6 weeks for me now is half the time that I usually will wait to get them retightened now. You all know I usually go like 10, 11 weeks, mostly around 11 weeks. I've gone as long as 12 weeks. But that's now that they are settled. In the beginning, I remember pushing it to 10 weeks and I was sorry. She put me on an 8-week schedule from the very beginning. I remember going in at about 9 weeks. And I remember one time waiting to go in for 10 weeks and I had a big thick knot up here that even like right here. And even when she tightened it, that knot was still there. And eventually by doing this and just waiting for it to eventually compress, it compressed. But I remember it looked unsightly when I first had all of them retightened for like maybe 2 or 3 successive retightenings. It looked crazy to me. They were around the front and I wanted to kick myself. They looked like matted, thick pieces. And it was strictly because I waited too long. So in the beginning, there was light. In the beginning, retighten, whatever schedule they tell you, follow it. At least for the first year. First 9 months to a year. But here's what's important, and this is what I really want you to pay attention to. And I've said this a lot, and I hope you hear me. When you get your hair retightened, and they get around the front, what scares me about 4 weeks and what makes that seem ridiculous, other than the fact that you wouldn't even get a relaxer every 4 weeks, you wouldn't get your box braids redone every 4 weeks, and if a weave required box braids, you wouldn't do it every 4 weeks. You only do that more frequently because you're talking about cornrows. We're talking about larger pieces of hair. What scares me is when they're retightening, guys, these are tender pieces of hair. This hair here catches a lot of stress from pulling, from styling, from doing all sorts of things. So does the hair across the back, from rubbing your head up against, the car seat, coats in the wintertime, clothing, all sorts of stuff. To me, you continue to, over time, degrade the integrity of your hair, the root bed, and the strength of your lock at the root when you get it retightened that much. Now, if you are doing it yourself, perhaps not so much. If you have a loctician who is very smooth on your hair and very soft to the point to where you can barely feel those rotations and they're not too tight where they're pulling and there's no stress, different story. But how many of us have loctician consultants that are really taking their time, that maybe are not distracted with talking, or if they're not talking, they're moving so quickly through it that sometimes you feel an extra tug, you feel some tension. When you go home, although you didn't feel it when you were getting your hair done, you may feel it feels a little uncomfortable, right? And so for me, 4 to 6 weeks of doing that often enough, long term, because we're not talking about what it feels like when you first leave. We're talking about the cumulative effect of styling stress. If you seldom did a retightening any less than 10 weeks and you pulled your hair like this every day in a style, you're gonna have some consequences from doing that. I'm just saying, if you spent a lot of time wearing ponytails before you got your hair locked, you're gonna experience some residual loss and breaking of hair. So I'm just saying, use your common sense. If your hair is really growing and after a 6-7 week period, you got this much new growth, go ahead and get it tightened. But no matter what you do, when your loctician is retightening the hair in those areas that are most likely to thin out and those areas that are most visible, because I think all of us, if we had to have thinning, we knew it was a part of Sisterlocks, we probably would still get them in the way if we could have the thinning back here and not up here around where everybody else was going to see. So to me, it's like I pay attention to this area, because this area, number one, if my hair is a little bit finer in this area, and this is where you can see the plucked chicken stuff, to me, more than any place else. When I first get my hair done, one time I pulled it back like this and I saw all of that and I'm like, Dad, am I going bald? I don't think I'm losing any hair, but what the crap is going on? So my advice to you, my loctician told me 8 weeks. That was in the beginning. She does not complain. Neither of them complain when I show up in there at 10 or 11 weeks, sometimes 11 and a half weeks. No complaint there. Remember, I do, though, in between that period, I tighten these up around here. These are not the ones that are getting all matted and are very thin and have less hair and are more susceptible to breakage, but these are. So I will go around and retighten these on my own a few weeks before actually going in to get my retightening. And that's also because I want there to have to be less manipulation up here, and I'm softer on my hair than my loctician is. At least one of them. She's a little bit more heavy-handed, and so I have to sometimes say, "Ouch, that hurts. Can you be a little bit more gentle?" That sort of thing. So 4 to 6 weeks. If you're doing a 4 to 6 week regimen, I'd like to hear about it. If you're doing 4 weeks, and I'd like to know how long you've been doing that. Because with any of this stuff that we're doing with our Sisterlocks, you're not going to notice any real serious long-term issue or damage for some years to come. That's when you're going to see it. Even with the thinning of a lock, sometimes you won't see that for years to come. But all of my locks are the same size. I'm not experiencing any thinning whatsoever. If I have a lock that's thin that I can find, it's because of me picking cotton and pulling at the integrity of the lock. My locks are healthy. I haven't suffered, which means my hair can handle that particular rotation cycle with retightening. Maybe you can't wait 10 weeks. You'll know. Your hair will mat. Your hair will let you know when it needs to be retightening, provided you're doing the basic maintenance. So see how you feel about that. Be wary if you're being told you need to retighten once a month. That might be more of a payment thing more than anything else. I can't imagine wanting to go in for a retightening at 100 or 125 every 4 weeks anyway. That would make the cost of my Sisterlocks even more. And I just don't think that's healthy for the hair, because no matter what, unless they're tiptoeing through your hair, when they pull that thing through your hair, you got to remember it's not just a tool. It's the hair itself being pulled through. Once they pull the tool through, your hair is going through there. That's creating friction. Just because you can't see the microscopic damage doesn't mean it ain't happening. So that's what I got to say about it. Anybody that's saying you need to do it every 4 weeks, don't listen to them. And definitely don't stick to that schedule long term. 6 weeks potentially. 6 to 8 weeks I think is more of the sweet spot. 6 to 8 weeks. I don't recommend you do 10 weeks like I do, or 11 weeks if you haven't been doing it. Sometimes when my hair is really growing and I'm taking vitamins, I'm taking biotin, B12, and folic acid, and my hair is really growing and I'm doing that oil like I need to, sometimes that's a bit much because it causes me to have to sit a bit longer, and my loctician has commented, wow, your hair is growing a lot. So, I had to pay a little bit more, only because we do by the hour. My loctician does $50 per hour for the first 2 hours, and then an additional $15 per hour after that. So I end up paying $140 most days, although I think her rate now is maybe it's more than $15 per additional hour. I think it's more like 20 or 25. So anyway, see what you think about that. Let me know what you got to say, because I want to know, like, if you're retightening that often, are you doing it yourself? Is your loctician retightening it at that level? Is it because you like the plucked chicken look? Is it because you like to see your parts? Is it because something she recommended? Are you noticing any thinning of your hair? Are you noticing any soreness? Again, everybody's hair is different. Let your hair be the judge of what it is you prefer. I've also heard that sometimes retightening and waiting longer can cause the sister lock, like the appearance. It can look more like a traditional lock. My locks, I'm not suffering from that either. And my girlfriend Serena, I think she does roughly every 8 to 10 weeks as well. And, but she can talk to you about her hair, because she just cut several inches off because of massive cotton. Just cotton throughout the whole damn lock. Just like a lot of cotton. And you see that little one piece right there? You might find that in my hair every blue moon. And I'm leaving this piece alone because I tried getting it out and I can't get it out. My locks are very tight. Can't never try to see if you could. I could get it out, but I'm not interested in messing up any more of my locks for trying to get cotton too high up. So I'll look at this another time, and I may soak this in something. Yeah, I tried to get this out already. I'm going to go in there with my push pin. Now that I see this, y'all know I'm OCD. I said I wouldn't, but I'm going to. I'll let you know how it goes. Anyway, you with Tanisha Ali Butterfly. Transformations connecting you to the vision of who you truly are and unleashing your divine feminine spirit. I help women to get clarity, to uplevel their mindsets, to clear and heal energetic and emotional blockages, and manifest abundance. Thank you so much, beautiful butterflies and perfect people. What a joy it is to be alive. Have a wonderful and beautiful day. And please chime in. Don't just watch the video and not chime in. You got to give something back. It's a sacred law, okay? It helps us to manifest. If I'm giving, you got to give something back. So give a thumbs up, give a comment, give a share or a like, or contribute to the PayPal fund, okay? My Cash App and my PayPal is right at the back. And for those of you who do, I appreciate you. You're so sweet. You really don't have to do that. But you can give anything. You can send me an energetic smile, too. I'll receive it. Got it. Lots of love to you. Have a beautiful day, gorgeous.